3, 2, 1. All right, brother, what you got? How you doing today?
What's up, Vocab?
Not much, not much, man.
Do you see me? I'm a Semite. You said I'm so full of myself. I'm not a Semite.
Who
I'm
are you?
Lebanese, pal. I'm a Semite.
Are you Alex?
I'm Alex. How are you?
Okay, I probably believe you then. I'm sorry.
So you're lying to yourself? Admit it. Just admit it, brother.
No, I'm not.
Like I do, brother in Christ. I do, and I want you to know one thing.
Yeah.
I look up to your Hebrew Israelite stuff. You're awesome there. And no one could take that away. I have learned personally, but I disagree with you that the modern state of earthly Israel should exist, and we could discuss that as humans.
Okay, tell me what to do with the Jews then.
Okay, they could have went anywhere. Obviously, I do not condone any killing or any of that stuff.
Tell me where they could have went. Tell me where
Russia. They could have went to Russia. Most Jews there. They could have went to America. They could have went to so many places. They could have had full peace in Germany and lived there.
Do you know?
But they had to take the Palestinians' houses.
Did America accept boatloads of Jews during World War II when they were trying to escape? Yes or no?
They were the second people to accept the state of Israel.
No. Boatloads of Jews. Boatloads of Jews from Europe. Did America accept or reject boatloads of Jews who tried to come to America during this time of persecution? We turned them away. We turned them away.
They still got there.
No, they did. They didn't get here. They had to go back. A lot of them got killed.
What? They got accepted. The state. America wanted the state of Israel because they wouldn't go to America. But that doesn't solve the problem. America might be wrong there. You ever take the ego down a bit? You know what I mean? America might be wrong there. That accepting them would have been a good thing.
No. Hold on. You're totally missing the argument, bro. Hold on. We gotta stop here a second. You said they could have went anywhere. I said, tell me where, because my point is I'm contending that you're wrong. They can't go anywhere because the world is full of anti-Semites. They can't go anywhere, okay? And then my point was, you said,
can we get something off the table?
I already know what you're gonna say. It's kind of a trope. Most people understand the definition of what we're talking about here. You can, and by the way, you can be a Semite and still be anti-Semitic. So it's a null and void argument. But check this out.
But I'm not anti-Semitic.
You sound like it to me, but we'll give you a chance. But check this out, bro. Check this out. You said they could go anywhere, and what I was telling you is they couldn't go anywhere. And I gave you a very real example. They got turned away from America numerous times. I'm talking about boatloads of refugees. Look it up. This happened.
I have a question.
So here's my point. What do you do with the Jews you don't like? Why can't they have a governing self-land?
Kill and rob other people's land? Yes or no?
Okay. What do you know? What do you know about how the Jews acquired that land?
I know because I have family that's Palestinian. I have family that's Christian Palestinians. Actually, I'm Christian.
Okay.
We never converted from Islam. We've always been Christian.
I know. I used to go to an Arabic church. I know many people like you.
That's awesome. That's awesome, dude. And that's awesome. And if you would know that the Palestinians have been injustice and it's affected the other countries around it.
Yes. Now let's go back though, because you said it's not right for them to steal land. Okay. True or false? True or false? A lot of the land in Israel, the way it got into the possession of Jewish people is they bought it from
No, not most of it. No, that's wrong.
See, you're wrong. See, the fact is, this is true. They got it from absentee. They got it from absentee Arab landlords. They didn't steal it. They didn't steal it.
You're lying to yourself, Vocab. You're lying. Can I say something? Thank you for not muting me. I really appreciate that, by the way. I really appreciate that. Thank you for not muting me like other people.
I haven't muted you, but stop telling me I'm lying to myself. Because
you are, just like you did, because they didn't.
Okay.
My family, I have family that have paperwork of their houses that were forced with guns out of their houses to give to the Jews and their lands that they were lived on and had farms.
Let's stop. So you made your point. Now, here's what happened. Here's exactly what happened. In case after case after case, after the land was bought, the people had tenants on their land, and it was up to the Jews since the Arab folks were absentee. The Jews had to remove the tenants because it was no longer their land. So since it was not the absentee landlord who had sold the land, it was no longer their land. What had to happen? The tenants who worked. Let me just finish, because listen.
Michael Brown's educating you. Stop lying to yourself. Honestly,
listen, brother. You don't tell me where I got my information from, because I didn't get it from Michael Brown. So you don't know what you're talking about. This is a study. I don't care what I sound like. This is a study of history that I've done, okay? Because I've heard, listen, people probably mute you because you interrupt them. You're continually interrupting me.
I'm not going to let you lie to yourself.
Okay, then you are going to get muted. Then you are going to get muted. Do you understand? Control yourself or be muted. Those are your two options, okay? I have no desire to have a shouting match with somebody, okay?
Okay, go on.
Okay. The fact is, lots of the land, I didn't say every single piece, but we're talking about a large majority, was
Majority?
sold. See, can you control yourself, man? Control yourself.
Majority or not?
This is your last chance. You're going to let me finish or you're gone. I'm just going to finish and you're going to complain, but I gave you multiple chances. You keep on interrupting me. I can't even finish a sentence with you. This is not the way to represent what you believe. The same is that I sat under an Arabic pastor from Bethlehem, and I've been under men from Nazareth. So I have experience and understanding in this. So I'm actually sympathetic to your cause. You're creating an enemy where you could have an ally, but you lack wisdom because you're emotional in this. So if you would just chill for a second, because I'm not a Zionist. So look, here's the deal. Lots of it was done by selling and buying, which is legal and okay. And people said, hey, I'm not there. These guys are giving me a lot of money. I don't care what's going on with the rest of the thing. But there was people working the land. They did have to be removed because they wanted to stay there. Their view was, hey, we've worked this land for 50 years. Why are you going to come in and take us off? Well, it was their land now, so they were allowed to move them off. This happened in case after case. Now, I'm not sure why you're saying that's not true. The fact is the records exist to prove it. We're talking about sales of land, then the tenants being removed, which is a legal action. You don't have to have someone work the land. The Jews wanted to work the land themselves by and large. They didn't want the tenant farmers. So you had a real issue there. So how, and you can say Michael Brown, I didn't know Michael Brown said that. This is just a fact of history. This is just something you read because it's there when you try to get both sides of the story. Now, what is the problem with that?
You good? I'm going to appeal to what you talked about.
Yeah, and I'll try not to make faces like an immature brat like you did the whole time.
I'm not an immature brat.
The whole
man.
time you're like,
I'm just trying to tell you that you're trying to say that it's the objective truth. That's the only thing that bothers me, Vocab, is that I know family directly. It's not emotional. Is that we have the historical record of their land being robbed. And no, the majority of it wasn't Jews, bro. There's actually been Jews and like European Jews living there in peace since after the Crusades. So it's not even been, it's been way longer than that. Why have they lived there? Because it's the anti-Zionist Jews. It's the ones who claim that they don't like the state of Israel and things. And they're as European Jew as they can. And they believe that theologically and politically as well. So but
do you know what those
robbing the land? Let me finish.
Do you know what those Orthodox Jews want? They don't want something you want. They want an Israel under a theocratic rule. So you're acting like they're your ally.
Not Israel. They don't want Israel. They want Palestine.
No.
They throw a Palestinian flag.
No.
You want me to show you a picture?
No. I know what you're talking about. Here's the thing.
What?
Those Orthodox Jews who you're talking about, it doesn't have anything to do with their ethnicity. It has to do with their theological beliefs. They want a theocracy, so they view Israel as basically as an imposter state because it's secular. So you're acting like they're an ally for the Palestinian cause.
But they don't want that flag. They don't want that flag with the hexagram. They don't want it.
The flag is irrelevant to the way that the real issue is the theocracy, brother. That's the real issue.
But
they're not your. So don't act like they're your ally in a Palestinian
like they're my friend or they're my allies.
They are not
I'm just acting.
So what I'm saying is you're trying to act as if it's something it's not. I'm telling you, I spoke about the people you're talking about, and I know what you're saying, but they're not an ally to the Palestinian cause at the end of the day, simply because they're anti-secular Israel.
I'm not saying.
So let's just have
allies.
I'm just saying balance.
They're anti the Israel. That's what I'm saying.
No, they're not anti-Israel. They're anti-secular Israel.
No, they don't believe it should exist. They said that they should live under Palestinian rule like they did after the Crusades. Okay, look, let me get to the point.
When did they live under Palestinian rule?
What do you mean?
You said
when it was under Ottomans. There was Jews there.
You think that we should have a situation similar to when the Turks were in control of that area?
I do not. Of course
not. Then
not.
why are you bringing them up? Do you think the PLO should be in charge of Israel?
You're irrelevant from when we were speaking, and you're cutting me off, being a hypocrite from what you said.
I
don't like saying that's the objective truth.
When you bring up something, that's what happens.
Let me finish back to the
Should the PLO be in charge?
By them. I'm not going to have a shouting match with you like you said. Are you going to let me talk for a little bit, or you're scared of the truth, the objective truth?
Listen. Have you seen me debate people? I'm not scared of the truth, but
can I speak? Can you let me speak
but
now?
Listen, here's the deal. If you're on here and you bring up random points, I'm gonna conjecture.
You're the one deferring. I'm trying to get back to the whole.
Then don't bring up objectionable points in your main point. Just what's your main point?
Okay, my main point to your point, because we could talk about different points. I don't mind. It was that the majority wasn't legally bought, bro. It was under the British Empire. Not only were there forgeries that happened, but people got guns pointed to them. And the majority of them, not less than half, majority of them got guns pointed to them, and they were forced out of their lands and their houses. Now, the Jews who did have houses there, rightfully bought before World War II even, like I was telling you, for hundreds of years, they were living there in peace. And they're not even like, their Middle Eastern mix is like pretty diluted. Like and they were there in peace and people liked them. The only issue we had was probably the Ottoman rule. And those people they don't even want the Israel, like the hexagram blue flag with the,
what does that have to do with, what does that have to do with anything? What's on the flag?
I'm telling you that there's even Jews in that denomination, in that religion, don't even want it. But I'm telling you that people were forced out of their houses, and we have the legal documents. And it's been proved that there was forged documents to try to lie about them. Now, I don't know what pastor you're talking about. If you're talking to Pastor Joe, or you're talking about Pastor Joe from
No.
the States? No.
What I'm saying is, so yes,
I might know them.
Okay.
I'm in tune with the community.
Excellent. What I'm saying is some of your perspectives I've heard before. I'm not saying I was under Middle Eastern folks who agreed with me 100%, but they also didn't have such a vitriolic perspective as yours. You have a vitriolic perspective. You literally said, well, just have the Jews go to Russia. You have a contradictory position because you just sit around talking about there's Jews who have been there for a long time, and yet you're telling the Jews to go to Russia.
But they're not subjugating people. They're not subjugating. Those people weren't subjugating.
Okay. So, are you saying if it was under the Palestinian rule, it wouldn't be When has there been a situation where Israel was under a Christian rule? Tell me the time.
Let's have it happen. Let the Christians.
No. I'll tell you the time.
It doesn't matter if it didn't happen
under the Crusades. That's the time that's when the Christians were in control of Jerusalem. So, do you want to go back to a Crusader kingdom?
Dude, I'm telling you that in this day and age, we have brothers and sisters in the triune God Christ, and then we have evangelical Protestants who I see as brothers in Christ, some of them because they're anti-Zionist, some of them, but the others helping pure Jews who are the reason who that our Messiah was crucified. He said their blood must be on them.
Pure
Obviously,
Jews?
there might be a prophecy that are going to happen. No,
bro,
not pure, but like
you are going all over here. Just slow down. You are going all over the map here. First of all, you said earlier that they're deluded, and they are. Almost everybody in the world is deluded, even the people in the Middle East who never left the Israel. Now you're talking about pure Jews, and you literally just did the medieval European anti-Semitic Christ killer trope. They're the ones who are responsible for killing Jesus. If you read Acts, no, I gotta finish, bro. No wonder you don't make any friends.
You're angry for me for cutting you off.
No wonder you don't make any friends. No wonder. Oh my goodness. You have a serious problem. Like
ADHD. I have ADHD. I'm sorry.
Okay. Look, jeez. You said now the pure Jews who are the ones responsible for killing Christ. That's literally what you just said. Now check this out. If you read Acts 2 and Acts 4, it says that Jew and Gentile alike conspired together to kill the Messiah. So you just bringing out the anti-Semitic, medieval anti-Semitic trope of the Jews killed Jesus is incredibly objectionable and theologically false. I understand you have a perspective, but what you're saying is literally
he's the sacrifice of the lamb. You
said to me, "Oh, hey, Michael Brown information," which I never consulted Michael Brown on any of the things I brought forth. What you're saying though literally sounds like PLO propaganda. You want to talk about the source of information? PLO. How can you be familiar with this situation and not know what the PLO is?
I know what the full name.
Do you know what the Palestinian Authority is?
Okay, yeah, the Liberation Organization. Okay, that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, like brother, I'm not sure how you can know what's going on if you don't know. What you're saying is literally. Do you know who was the main guy in charge of the PLO for the longest time?
It said Mahmoud Abbas or something. That's the chairman, founders, Arab League, and Ahmed Shukairi.
Yeah, and don't forget about President Arafat. Now, are you a supporter of Yasser Arafat's policies?
No, of course not. But you know how my dad's uncle was actually the private doctor forced to be the private doctor of Arafat and his crew. So he knows firsthand of saving Christians. Okay, and he would preach to us that the state of Israel is not the way of saving Christians. As much as maybe, for example, Muslims have tried to persecute us, Sunnis, not specifically Shias, but mostly Sunnis, tried to persecute us.
Brother,
he used to talk about how the occupation is 5 times worse. I'm not even joking,
brother. And
this is someone who saved Christians from Muslims.
I might move on in a second here, but let me tell you something that's actually sad about this conversation. I'm not even being funny. This is for real.
What's up?
If you understood my heart for Middle Eastern Christians, I don't think you would be approaching me this way. I think we can have a balance.
I don't understand
I've never been a pro-Zionist. I don't make a theological argument for Jews in the land. I am a new covenant guy. I hold that God's body of people are the ecclesia. You're not talking to a dispensationalist. You're not talking to a Michael Brownite. You're not talking to a DTS guy. You're talking about someone who's You're talking about someone who's set under Arabic pastors, who is willing to submit to them and hear them out and see a lot of beautiful things happen, especially in relationships to reaching out to Muslims. And you're treating me like an enemy. We have a different view about some of this.
Dude, I have an issue with you saying that the state of Israel should actually exist. It's all Palestine.
Brother, it already
It's
exists.
It's blasphemous. I don't care. Your theology has to do with your life. Politics and
Exactly.
theology do mix.
Exactly.
Yes, they have to do with your life. So the state of Israel is not of this world, as the Lord Jesus Christ said.
No.
It's Palestine. His
Listen.
apostle, Simon the Canaanite. He was even a Canaanite, bro.
You don't understand.
He called him a Canaanite.
You don't understand, though. You're talking to the wrong guy. I'm not an Israel-centric guy. And when you say state of Israel, the church is not the state of Israel. The church is the new Israel. The state of Israel is a distinct the state of Israel is a distinct political entity. And you can complain about it, and you sound a little bit like, the dictator of Iran wiped them off the map, ship them all to Russia. Which is not even their people, not even their land. I mean, you're saying, let's ship them off to Russia. Yeah, Russia's...
Most of them are in the States.
See, that again, how can you be familiar with the issues and think that everyone's a Russian Jew? That's only about 55 to 60% of modern-day Jewry, right?
That's most of them. And then the ones who aren't Russian Jews feel comfortable around them as well. So that's a majority.
Let me break it down. You just seem like, I'm glad you have people connected, but you actually seem somewhat uninformed. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Don't take offense. Please listen. Yemenite Jews. Are you familiar with Yemenite Jews? Are you familiar with the Iraqi Jews, which are now called Baghdadi Jews? Now, let's just talk about the Iraqi Jews for just a second. The Iraqi Jews were there since the days of the Babylonian captivity in Iraq. Now, in modern-day Iraq, you can look the stats up. Put this in, brother. How many Jews are left in Iraq? You know the answer as of 2020? Last time I saw 4. 4. Now, this is what happens.
If they are, they're hiding.
Or they're just super old people that they're like, you know what, we're not going to kill that one, let that old lady die. Seriously, I'm not joking. Now, here's
Yemen, it's like that.
Yeah, they're almost all gone, bro. Here's what I'm saying. Jews under Middle Eastern governments never works out for the Jew. The Jew has no safe place, no safe haven.
Even as a Christian Middle Eastern?
There's radical political differences even between Palestinian Christians and some of the Jewish Christians, and there's some real problems. Now, I recommend a book for you.
Did you just say Jewish Christians?
Yeah, Jewish Christians. You know they exist, right?
What do you mean Jewish Christians?
I mean,
they're just Christians.
No. Oh, no. So wait. You just said Palestinian Christians.
You think Messianic Jews is a thing?
You just said Palestinian Christians earlier. Now you have a problem with saying Jewish Christians? Help me understand this.
What do you mean Jewish Christians? Jews, real Jews, like from the tribe of Levi, the ones at the time of Jesus knew he's the Messiah.
Wait.
They're the followers of Christ.
Why are you associating Jews as from the tribe of Levi?
No, like the ones who officially knew Jesus was the Messiah, like they confirmed it, and they're the Jews from Moses and from Hebrews, the ancient Hebrews. Like we know they're
Why only the tribe of Levi? It doesn't make sense. Jew usually refers to the southern tribes anyway.
That was the priestly tribe. But there's the tribe of David and all that stuff,
Well, there's no tribe of David. There's a tribe of Judah that David's from. Again, there seems like there's... Brother, you have a lack of familiarity with these issues. Let me show you a book here. It's called Come Let Us Reason Together. This is Baruch Meaz. He's a pastor there in Tel Aviv. He's a Calvinist brother. He's a Reformed brother. So he's not a dispensationalist. He doesn't think the state of Israel he's not a Zionist, is what I'm saying. Yet his church is there, and in this church, it's an international church. So he has Jewish Christians, which means a person who is ethnically Jewish who accepts Jesus. That's all that means, brother.
What's an ethnic Jew to you, bro? What's considered an ethnic Jew? Because in the Bible, the Old Testament, almost everybody's related to the Old Testament Jews except for these for Russians or Western. If now you're going to talk to me about Iraqi and even Lebanese Jews, those are barely Jews, bro. Those are mixed with Russians.
So you brother, you've got a set of issues. I understand.
I don't.
Check this out. If you're going to bat for the persecution that the Palestinian Christians face, we can have a lot of solidarity on that. But once you start mixing in rabid conspiracy theories, which is literally what's happening here, once you start doing that, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. I am dismissing your theories as very bad, very outdated. And when you start talking about Lebanese Jews or barely Jews, because you can say a similar thing. You can say a similar thing about many people in the Middle East because of the amount of conquering that's happened. But with any given modern Jewish population, you have 25 to 50% that DNA that goes back to the Levant.
Why don't Middle Easterns have Jews anyways? Is it not just because they're kicked out? It's because everybody knows Jesus is the Messiah, bro. Even Muslims, even like we believe different things with Muslims.
Why does that mean they wouldn't have
Jesus is the Messiah?
Brother, why would that mean?
They don't want to live around people who don't believe that, bro.
Oh, they don't want to live around people who wow. So
they're gonna come steal our land for it. They're gonna come steal our land. They haven't been there. They moved around. If you know the historical Jews, they have all been enslaved. If you've read the Bible, bro. Since you're so. By the way, your buddy who's in Tel Aviv, show me the book again. Show me the book, please.
Yeah.
Show me the book.
All right, I'm gonna put someone else on. This has been interesting.
What is that? A hexagram, right? What is that? Show me that in the Bible, bro.
Yeah.
Star of David.
Yeah.
Show me that in the Bible.
I've given the reason why.
Bro, if you're a Christian, you would not go for that hexagram.
Bro, I had to turn you down because you're going wild. That's cool. God bless. I got another caller coming up. Let me just say this to you, brother. You can't be a Christian and be an anti-Semite. Just like you can't be a racist and all kinds of other stuff. You can't be a Christian and be an anti-Semite. And so a lot of the stuff you said today was extremely problematic. All right, we got Jim Green. How you doing, my friend? What's going on, bro? Oh, man, you know I'm doing all right. I'm chilling. What's going on, man? Yes, it was. All right, tell me what you got, my friend.
Saw any apologists or theologists worth they saw should be willing to ask hard questions. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that about you. And I didn't call for no other reason, man, but just to tell you, you know, that I know the position that you in. I know you get attacked. I know that you under a lot of assault, bro. Even behind the scenes, a lot of people don't see what you're doing, what's happening. I see it because I go through it. And I just came to just give you some encouragement, bro. Keep fighting the good fight, man. Appreciate you know, stay on the front line, man. Stay fighting, bro. It's a hard fight, you know what I'm saying? But this is the fight that God has given us. I'm fighting the same fight, brother. I'm praying with you, and I'm hoping the best for you, bro. That's all I wanted to say, man.
Hey, man,
keep doing your thing, my brother.
I appreciate
love you,
that.
bro.
Hey, Jim, I appreciate that. Seriously. And tell people about your platform and stuff like that you got.
Well, I do have a show. A talk show I've been doing for about 14 years called the New Real Talk Radio Show. It is a somewhat like what Mr. Vocab Malone does. I just talk about issues, social issues, biblical issues, and I just relaunched a audio podcast called In Context with Jim Green. And I talk about everything, but I really get into the political stuff and how the political issues cross over into the Christian community. A lot of people say there's separation of church and state and all that stuff, but there really is no separation of church and state because we're in the world and we have to deal with the things that are in the world. Mm-hmm. And American politics intersects with the moral issues that we have that come in the Bible. So I deal with those type of things also. That's why we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. If we're going to live in this world in 2020, we got to talk about all things that are in this world and not in this world. So appreciate you guys.
Amen. I appreciate that too, brother. And yeah, I just had some interesting calls right before you came.
Yeah, I'm checking that out. But stay on the front line though, bro. God is with you, my brother.
Hey, man, thanks. I appreciate that, man. God bless. All right, you have a beautiful day.
Yeah, you too, bro.
Hey, shalom, Jim. Peace out. God bless. All right. Yeah. So we talked to Alex for a while. It's sad because I don't think he understands how sympathetic I actually am. And how what kind of great conversation we could have. And I don't really know if I got to finish this. But this pastor, who's a incredible theologian as well, who wrote this book, I met him in person. Great guy. He served for 33 years there at a church there in Tel Aviv. And he is reformed in his view. And the book is subtitled The Unity of Jews and Gentiles in the Church. And he has a beautiful position where he understands who the bride of Christ is. It's not a national state or an ethnic state or ethnic group or anything like that. He understands that and has a really helpful way to understand the way the covenants go together and the way that Jews and Gentiles can have unity. Because let me tell you something. What you saw, and pray for the brother, it's tough because sometimes Middle Eastern Christians are forgot. Let me fix this here. A lot of times Middle Eastern Christians are forgot. And so that's why, I don't know if he understands, the guy who just called, how sympathetic I am to the cause, because he is right about Middle Eastern Christians getting forgot, getting persecuted, being caught in between Israel, other nations, the Islamic countries in their midst. And it's really a bad situation for a lot of them. I mean, the plight of the Assyrians is just... It's a tragic thing. The Armenians, the Greeks that lived in Turkey under the Ottomans, just tragic, tragic, tragic. So that's a real concern. I mean, they're almost wiping out Christians from the Middle East, but it's mainly the doing of Islamic countries. This guy was saying people who understand Jesus Messiah don't want to live around Jews because they reject the Messiah. They don't want to be around them. And actually repeated the trope from the medieval era of Jews being Christ killers. I mean, he repeated that trope. Guys, we got to do better than that. We can be new covenant people and be people who respect Israel politically without making a Zionistic argument and still realizing at the end of the day, we got to have a church that's Jew and Gentile alike. The good thing about the call we just had, though, not Jim, but the guy before that, Alex, is it shows you the challenges of the early church. What I'm saying is imagine people with viewpoints like that about Jews and then Jews who have low opinions of Gentiles, and they're trying to put them in a church together. The Jews are thinking, look at these dirty Gentile pagans. They worship gods. They're sexually immoral. They're gross. The Gentiles are thinking, these people have rejected Jesus. They think they're better than us. You have this, and then they're in the church together. When you start to understand that, you realize, wow, okay, this is a real issue. And, he was talking about, European and barely Jewish. It is a fallacy to think that there's a one-to-one correlation between any ancient population and modern groups. And that goes with Arab populations as well. For example, the Hebrews like to talk about Edomites, and I usually say they're gone as an ethnically distinct people, the Edomites. But if you chase the general historical trajectory of those who would be Edomites, for all intents and purposes, what we can gather happened to the Edomites as a distinct people group is that they're swallowed up essentially by mainly two people groups. One would be the people who live in the modern day state of Jordan and in that general area, kind of swallowed up into those people, Arab-like peoples in those regions. So where could you find the most descendants of Edomites? Most likely in modern-day Jordan. But then you also have the fact that there was forced conversions by Jews during the Maccabean era, and they forced Edomites to convert. And so you have some of them that are kind of mixed into Jewish populations as well. And this kind of thing happens over and over again. And by the way, a good example of that is Herod of Idumea. So he's right that there's no one-to-one correlation, but it's silly to think that there is. You know what I'm saying? He didn't say that. He seems to only say, it was weird because on one hand he's saying the fake Jews who were barely Jewish. And then on the other hand, he was saying pure Jews. So the pure Jews are responsible for Jesus' death, and all the other people who claim to be Jews aren't Jews. Again, the DNA really, it's important for historical things and things like that, and to understand your culture and all that. But biblically speaking, it's not very important. And that's where Titus 3:9 comes into play in a very real way. And now you see why the Holy Spirit inspired Paul to write that to Titus, because of things like what was just talking about here. And so you look at that, and that'd be the case with anything. If you look at the population in Sicily, you take everyone in Sicily, you're going to find some people who actually live as Sicilians and think they're Italian and basically would have no Italian blood. They would be like Arab, Spaniard, Moorish, African, European, of other things, Greek sometimes. It's a really wild thing. But then you have people who are more connected to the mainland of Italy, but then they probably have some of those other mixtures as well. And it's like within each population pool, you have some things that are actually absent because of marriage and conversion, okay? And then you have other things that are present. And so I'm not trying to be a DNA expert, I'm still learning about this stuff. But the point is, within any modern day Jewry population, what we find is there's always DNA that goes back to the Levant, similar with almost every Arab population. And it's sometimes almost impossible. Hey, Speaking Truth, thank you for subscribing. Sometimes it's almost impossible to tell the difference between, if you just looked at the DNA layout, sometimes it's almost impossible to tell the difference if you're just looking at that between a lot of like modern day Jews or modern day Arab peoples. It's a fascinating thing because of the closeness there. You know what I mean? Natalie, are you live? Are you here?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to ask.
Nat, all right. Are you able to show your face?
I'm not properly dressed, so.
Well, just show your face only. You don't have to.
Do I have to?
Well, I usually tell people
I can do it next time.
All right, well, let's make it quick then, because I don't like having disembodied voices. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to ask. Sorry, I was running up the stairs.
It's all right.
I'm out of breath. I wanted to ask. You said that Christians can't be anti-Zionists.
No. I said they can't be anti-Semitic.
They can't be anti-Semitic. Okay.
They cannot be. Meaning they can't hate. They can't hate Jews and have a racial bias towards Jews. You know what I'm saying? That's
okay. So why do you say that? I'm not racism. I'm not talking about racism, but just in general. Like, why do you say that? Why can't Christians be? How they spin it? How they spin anti-Semitism now? It's not really race.
Well,
it's you know what I mean.
I don't know who's they. Who spins what?
Well, when they say anti-Semitic, they, if you go against Jews in any way, shape, or form, if you don't agree with, like the no-hide laws, right? They're coming out with that. So we can be against that, right? And if you go against Jews, you're anti-Semitic.
Well,
no-hide laws.
What do you mean? What do you mean go against Jews? Like, would you ever say if you go against Arabs, or if you go against Italians? What do you mean go against Jews? Like, what are you going against Jews? There's all kinds of Jews who believe all kinds of things. I'm just having trouble understanding what you mean by going against Jews. Why would you want to go against all Jews? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, let me ask. So you say you can't be a Christian and be anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, anti-Semitic is sort of a specific. It's just like being anti-black or something like that. If you got a specific set of propositions.
You're talking about racism, then.
Yes, well, Semites an ethnic designation.
Okay, so, but I'm not. Well, there's lots of Jews that are of different races. They're not exactly Semitic. Well, a lot of them. Are you talking about the religion, or you're talking about just the? Because a lot of Jews today, they're not Semitic.
What do you mean?
If you look at a lot of them.
Who's not Semitic?
If you look at the Jews living in Israel today, a lot of them are not Semitic, if you look at them.
How do you know by looking at them?
Well.
You can't tell someone's DNA by looking at them.
But people have been scattered everywhere, all over the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, let me help you out here. The Assyrians have no homeland. The Assyrians have been persecuted primarily by Muslims, especially the Ottoman Turks, but by many conquerors and whatever. And the Assyrians don't have a homeland. They have a flag. It'd be nice if they did have a homeland. They don't. But they've been scattered all over the world. They have had their own diaspora. A lot of people don't recognize it. So they're in Australia, they're in the States, places like San Jose and Chicago, in the UK. Assyrians are all over the world. Some in the Middle East, of course, as well. So Assyrians are all over. You can't necessarily tell who they are just by looking at them. Some they can blend in. They could look Turkish sometimes. They could, depending on where they're at, they can kind of blend into different populations. Okay, so they can be in different nationalities in different nations, but ethnically they're still Assyrian. So you can have Jews spread out. They can be in Yemen, Iraq, Iran, and they certainly are. And they end up looking somewhat different. There's even Jews in Africa, the Limba, the Ethiopians. So there's people all over. But you have this core Semitic identity. Now, at the same time, I recognize there's conversion and there's intermarriage. But the thing is, that's true with everybody. And what I'm saying is, to say go against Jews, to me, strikes me as odd. It'd be like saying going against Mexicans, going against Chicanos. Why would I go against all of them? You know what I'm saying? If you mean going against the policies of Israel, that's a different conversation. Because you're talking about no-had laws. It seems like you're messing with the language. Do you mean going against policies of Israel? Is that what you mean?
Well, because you said you can't be anti-Semitic and be Christian at the same time.
Why would you? I mean, Jesus was Jewish, Natalie. Why would you hate Jews?
Well, because first of all, Jesus, I don't hate anyone.
Then you're not anti-Semitic.
Wait, what?
Then you're not anti-Semitic.
No, I'm not anti-Semitic.
So then why do you want to have people who can be Christians and be anti-Semitic?
Well, okay, you're saying that Christians cannot be anti-Semitic. You're thinking of like racism. That's not what I'm speaking about.
What does anti-Semitism mean then to you, Natalie?
Well, how they portray if you go against any Jewish policy.
Well, there's no. What do you mean Jewish policy? Do you mean Israel? Are you specifically talking about Israel?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so we got to be.
Israel.
So Natalie, in these conversations, we got to be careful because there's Jews who live in New York City. They're not setting Jewish policy. They live in New York City. They're under Mayor de Blasio. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you mean Israel, if you mean Israelis, that's different. There's all kinds of things to disagree about Israeli policy. They have horrible policies about messianics. They have horrible policies about proselytization. Now, it's not as bad as, Iran, but I totally...
When I think of anti-Semitic, I think of anything that the Jews want to do.
Here's the thing, though. All the Jews don't want to do anything. You're having a problem where you're literally lumping in all Jews worldwide and saying the Jews. That's a very odd thing to do in the first place. Would you do that with any other people group? Would you say anything that the Arabs want to do? Do all Arabs want to do the same thing, Natalie?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But you're saying that you can't be anti-Semitic and be Christian at the same time. When you say anti-Semitic, I'm automatically equating that with the policies of Israel.
Okay, why would you do that though? Because Israel is different than a Jew.
Okay, that's what's been pushed.
No.
That's been the narrative.
Let me explain what I mean. Let's say you have a Jew who lives in Lebanon, right?
Yes.
What government is that Jewish person under?
The Lebanese government.
Right, exactly. So is that particular Jew setting any policies for anybody, or are they living under another government, right? They're living under the Lebanese government, right? So that Jew is not setting policy for Israel even. In fact, they may disagree with some of the policies Israel has, for example, in regards to Lebanon, right? So to say go against, what I'm saying is you should be more careful. If you're talking about ethnic Jews, yes, you cannot hate that group of people and be a Christian. Of course not. Just like you couldn't hate African Americans and be a Christian. You can't.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about ethnicity.
But you kept on saying Jewish and Semitic. That's different than Israeli. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because Israel is a nation. It's a state. And so all Jews don't live in Israel, right?
No, yeah, I understand. Right. I'm talking about like from the dispensationalist point of view, we're like Jews of the chosen people.
Yeah, but that's not my position. So I try to make that clear. I said several times, I'm not a Zionist. I don't make a theological argument for Israel's right to exist. I make a prudential argument for Israel's right to exist. And I've never held that people who reject Jesus as the Messiah are God's chosen people in any way. They are not God's chosen people.
Thank you.
But I just did a debate on this Sunday night. I laid out the whole position and said all that. So that's why I said again and again, I'm not a Zionist. A Zionist is a person who makes a theological argument for the state of Israel. There's Christian Zionists and there's Jewish Zionists, right? This is the kind of main breakdown you have. You can be someone who's pro-Israeli without being pro-Zionist, because pro-Israeli means you support their right to exist. In general, you favor them over and against other countries, such as Iran, for example, who literally does not recognize Israel on her maps. The leadership says on a regular basis they want to push Israel to the edge of the sea. And you have things like this. Essentially, they want another Jewish Holocaust in the Middle East. You know what I'm saying?
Have you heard of the Greater Israel Project?
The Greater Israel Project? I don't think so. Tell me about it.
How they want to go to war to expand their land.
Okay, let's look at history here. So in 1967, who attacked who?
I don't know, I don't know everything about the history or whatever. But
so the Arab states,
I know
Muslim
the
Arab
Israel
states. Well, no, check this out. But the reason I'm bringing this up is to show you. I see what you're embracing is sort of one. This happens a lot. This is sort of a Zionist conspiracy theory type thing again, is what we're dealing with. So you have some far-right people and you have some people funding this, is what it looks like. But that doesn't equal that's what they're about. And see, this is where we get into anti-Semitism. It's filled with Jewish stereotypes, Jewish tropes, and anti-Jewish ideas where Jews are sort of characterized as decidedly and inherently wicked, greedy, and all that stuff. And I keep on seeing people do that, and I think it's incredibly, unbelievably Christian to do. Now, check this out. In 1967, Natalie, the Arab states, the Muslim states, surrounded Israel and it had a coordinated attack, right? Same thing, similar, very with what's it called, the 6-Day War, the 7-Day War. These are all attacking at once. Israel got more land in that process because of the attacks, and they used that extra land as sort of buffers or borders, which is a good thing because when they don't...
Do you think that was God? Do you think that was God?
Well, I'm a Calvinist, so I hold that everything from the diaspora to everything is ultimately the plan of God. But I don't hold that Israel in 1948 is a fulfillment of prophecy. I'm not a dispensationalist. Okay. So everything to me is God. I'm a Calvinist, but I'm not a dispensationalist. So I do not hold that these are these fulfillments of prophecy, where dispensationalists do. But I could tell you this: Israel was an underdog and beat a multiple front attack by multiple countries a number of times, and in the process gained more land. If they wouldn't have attacked them, that wouldn't have happened. Plus, Israel has made, especially in the Camp David Accords, incredibly generous offers to the PLO for a two-state solution, and they rejected it because really they don't even think Israel has a right to exist. You can never have a two-state solution unless one of the states says, yes, one of the states is legitimate. About 30, 40 years... Say what?
Can you define Israel for me? What does that mean?
It's a state with specific geographical borders.
Okay, so when you say that they don't have a right to exist, that people said they don't have a right to exist, does that mean a certain people in a certain land? Is that what it means, with a certain religion or a certain ethnic group? Or what does that mean?
Well, the earlier caller said, ship all those Jews to Russia. He does not want Jews in Israel. It's a perfect
example.
Well,
he's talking about Ashkenazi Jews.
He didn't. Oh, no. First of all, this is the. Are you under the impression that all Jews are Ashkenazi?
No, I think people can convert to Judaism no matter what ethnic group they belong to.
You understand what is an Ashkenazi Jew to you?
Well, I don't think they're Semitic. I don't think they have the bloodline.
Okay, so I didn't ask you what you don't think they are. We could talk about that. What is it, though? How do you define Ashkenazi? Because you seem to be agreeing, saying keep the Ashkenazi Jews out of Israel. What is an Ashkenazi Jew?
I'm asking you, what do you think? You're saying that people do not have basically you're saying that, okay, there should be a state. So do you believe that people that define as they say that they're Jewish, right? They define as being a Jew, whether they're of the bloodline, quote unquote, or not, or they converted. Do you think that they now have a right to go live in a certain land because they define as Jewish, whether they have the DNA or not?
Natalie, they already live there.
Well,
okay. They are already there. You were going on more than half a century as far as the current incarnation of the state of Israel. They're already there. Now, here's what I was saying. Some of the problem I recognize is some of the problem of definition. An Ashkenazi Jew is essentially a Jew who went through specifically Eastern Europe during the dispersion. That's where they put down their roots, and that's where they came back out of, such as Russia or Poland. Ashkenazi Jews sort of are the most sort of prominent in a lot of people's mind as far as modern day Jewry, but the amount of Ashkenazi Jews with modern Jewry, every number I've ever seen is 55. Some people estimate 60%. So somewhat of a majority, but it's not an overwhelming majority. It seems to be decreasing as the diversity of modern day Jewry increases. My point by saying that is when we talk about Jews, modern day Jewry, we're talking about a diverse group of people from all over, and they're all coming in this land to live together and to give a place for Jews to live in a world that does not like them. If you look at the UN resolutions against Israel, it's disproportionately anti-Israeli, which is a shocking thing. And so when you look at that, we're living in a world that's like that. Jewish graves are still desecrated in Europe. Anti-Semitism has never went away. The Holocaust really happened, and this is a real issue and a real problem. Giving those people a place to land, especially when they bought a lot of it, is a good idea so they can protect themselves and not get wiped off the face of the earth like a lot of the Arab Muslim leaders want to do. That's all I'm saying. That's a prudential argument. Huh?
Do Christians have a right to have a land with only Christians and basically just go there and wipe out everyone around to make a land? Do Christians have that right?
Well, the Christians are all
just decide, hey, this is Christian nation wherever.
Christians are all over the world, Natalie. So there is no. Christians, people who call themselves Christians have tried that before, such as in Spain, and guess what they did? They kicked out all the Jews and the Muslims. That's what they did in 1492. And so people have tried things like that. I don't think it's a good idea. But here's the thing. Are you aware? Hold on. Are you aware that non-Jews live in Israel right now? Are you aware of this?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay. Are you aware that some of them have positions of power within the government, including Palestinians?
I'm sure. I know that.
Such as being on the Supreme Court and a number of other things. Now, certainly it's a minority because the majority of the state is not that. But listen, this is where the insanity comes in when people flip it around and you look at what happens in every other Middle Eastern government. You don't have non-Muslims or non-ethnic group of the people living. You have exactly what you're talking about. The kind of stuff you're talking about should make you upset at Turkey. The kind of stuff you're talking about should make you upset at certain factions of the Iraqi government. It should make you upset about what Iran is doing. That's where you should be upset about, not in Israel. Israel is the least offender out of all of those nations. And I don't understand why people don't recognize that. And that's why a lot of people there, a lot of the common people of Palestinians want a peaceful, common sense two-state solution, but their leadership has utterly failed them. And if you look, I mean, you realize they really do send missiles from hospitals? This really happens when people want to fight the wicked Jews in Israel. This is what really happens. And the Jews have to make a decision. Do we take out...
What the Jews do?
Huh?
What about what the Jews do to the Palestinians? What about that?
Tell me. I mean, I imagine you're going to... It's almost like you didn't hear anything I said. It's like we're not talking about anything else except for this obsession with we don't want Israel in the Middle East.
Okay, can you address the Noahide laws?
Tell me, you got to explain what you mean. We have a problem of definition here. I know what Noahide laws are according to Genesis, but what are you talking about?
You haven't heard of the Noahide laws that Jews want to basically make law around the world. You haven't heard about that, the Noahide laws.
Yeah, so
and how Christians are going to be beheaded.
Okay,
so basically because of... No,
you believe a lot of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, Natalie. I am sorry.
It's not a conspiracy theory when they admit it themselves. There's several videos of them saying this.
Okay, several videos. You know what you need to watch a video of is actual Muslims actually chopping off people's head in real life. Not what they want to do, what they are listen, Natalie, what they're really doing. All these conspiracy theories about all the wicked things Jews are supposedly going to do just flies over my head when I go and I can find real videos of, by the way, Middle Eastern Christians actually getting their heads chopped off by actual Muslims. Not we want to do this. They are literally doing it. And you're talking about Noahide laws, which that's not the way it's applied. This is not Sharia. Sharia is a real thing, Natalie, that people are really doing right now in 2020. The Israeli government is nothing like that. It's true they don't let Christians proselytize with the freedom we would like, but they don't kill them like they do in Saudi Arabia. They don't kill them like they do in China. And I don't understand why we want to model some of these other Middle Eastern governments when they literally are all oppressive, repressive. What country in the Middle East has the best rights for women?
I'm not defending Muslims. I'm not defending any Middle Eastern country. I'm asking you about Noahide laws.
And I'm answering you, showing what you're talking about is a conspiracy theory that's not a real thing. And I'm talking about...
Noahide law isn't real.
Finding some Jew talking about him wanting Jewish domination, which is usually some hardcore Orthodox guy, does not mean this is what all Jews want. For example, Jerry Seinfeld is a Jew, right? Do you think Jerry Seinfeld wants to chop off people's head for not following Judaism? It's just crazy.
Jerry Seinfeld is probably a Satanist. I mean, if you want to get real about it.
Okay. I mean, we clearly have Jerry Seinfeld is certainly not a Christian, but that's different than saying he's a Satanist. What are you saying? He's a Satanist because he's a Jew? Is that what's going on?
No. I'm just.
Dear Lord, you can't just go around calling people Satanists with no evidence, Natalie.
Okay, look, listen to what I'm saying. So you don't believe that Noahide laws are real. You don't believe that they want these laws put into place. And you know what? This goes with scripture, by the way. Have you heard of the Antichrist? You know what I'm saying? The Antichrist. What's going to happen?
I thought you're not a dispensationalist, and yet you hold to the Antichrist?
I'm absolutely not a dispensationalist.
Well, the whole idea of the Antichrist is sort of a dispensationalist notion. So you have a mixed bag of your theology here. I hold there's Antichrists. I hold as a covenant theologian there's Antichrist after Antichrist after Antichrist. Now there may be a final Antichrist, but there's Antichrist now. Huh?
Do you believe in the mark of the beast?
Not in the way. Wait, you believe in the mark of the beast as a chip? Is that what you believe, Natalie?
I don't know what form it comes in, but yeah, sure.
It's simply a submission to a satanic system. That's what the mark of the beast is.
Yeah, it means there's one world government. Okay. There's a leader of one world government, and
Natalie, you are a dispensationalist. Listen, Natalie, let me help you out. You have the strangest mixed bag of theology I think I've ever seen in my life. You are a dispensationalist who hates Jews and doesn't think Israel should have a state. That's bizarre. Now, let me tell you about the Noahide laws. It's true in the Bible. There is general rules given after they got out of the ark, which are actually pretty benevolent and sort of universal humanitarian. They actually argue against the eternality of the Mosaic law. Actually, it's actually a very important point to understand what the Noahide laws are, and they're not oppressive either. They're nothing like Sharia or anything like that. Let me stop. There is a such thing, just like there's supremacists in every ethnic group. There are Jewish supremacists who think these should be done by force and that should happen. You can find that. That is a market exception from secular Israel, and that's why those kinds of Jews you're talking about don't even support Israel, such as the brother talked about earlier. So here's what we have a situation of. The situation is you have actual Sharia taking place where Jews and Christians can't even occupy government. They can't even be cops. They're dhimmi. They have a second-class status. Yeah. And now here's what I'm asking you. What do you want to happen in Israel? Who should be in charge and who should be allowed in there then? If you don't want the Jews there, who should be there and who should be in charge? The PLO?
No, I'm not talking. Listen to what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
My issue is with Christians that say that Jews are chosen when these people deny Christ. They hate Christ. They hate Christians. They are looking for their Messiah, okay? They reject Jesus as their Messiah.
They don't all. And if you had listened to me 1,000 times, I don't think Jews who reject Jesus are chosen. Have you not heard me? I'm a covenant guy. What that means is we are in the new covenant. That means God's people are centered around Jesus Christ, not around DNA from Abraham. So any Jew who accepts Jesus is in the one olive tree. We're one body. Any Jew or any Arab or any Italian who rejects is outside of that. So I don't understand, why are you arguing against dispensationalists, which you actually partially are with some of your eschatology? Why are you arguing against dispensational views against me when I don't hold it? So maybe that is your problem, but you've never answered the question. If you don't want Jews in the Middle East because you painted them as an oppressive people who wanted to kill everybody around them, that's essentially what you've done. Where should they go and who should be in charge? Please tell me.
My main question for you is, you said Christians cannot be anti-Semitic and be a Christian at the same time.
Are you anti-Semitic?
No, I'm not anti-Semitic.
So why do you want Christians to be anti-Semitic then?
Listen. How I took it was, you can't be anti-Jew Because if you're anti-Jew, you're not Christian.
Yeah,
and
you can't be anti-Jew either. You're right. You shouldn't hate Jews. Don't you agree with me? I don't get it. Do you want to hate Jews?
Listen to what I'm saying.
But Natalie, would you answer me? Do you hate Jews?
I hate anyone who wants to kill me.
Dear Lord. First of all, do you think that's a Christian attitude when it says love your enemy, pray for those who persecute you? Is that even a Christian attitude, number one? Didn't Jesus say as he was being crucified, forgive them for
do you love your enemies?
When I'm in the spirit, I certainly do. When I'm in my flesh, no. But,
exactly.
But exactly. I don't answer. Yeah, I hate them all. If that's the case, if that's the case, then you need to be concerned with people like ISIS and Sunni Islam and Salafi, not some Orthodox Jew living in a hill studying the Torah.
They don't just study the Torah. They study the Talmud. They study the Zohar. They study all that.
Yes, I know that. I was just giving a short version. I've done whole shows on this. Now, again, do you hate Jews?
No, I don't hate Jews.
Okay. So why do you want to say Christians can be anti-Semitic when it means anti-Jewish? I never said anti-Israeli. You have to understand there's a difference between a people group and the nation state. Okay? Now.
Because the way that people portray it nowadays is if you say anything against any Jewish person or anything that any Jew or Israel has to say, any of their policies, any of that, if you go against it, you're anti-Semitic.
Natalie, let me tell you about, I disagree with what happens at Tel Aviv. They have a big, massive pride parade there, and it's not godly and it's not good. The government there encourages it. It's considered a massive destination for people of that lifestyle, and I don't think it helps anyone. It's a bad thing. I don't agree that Tel Aviv does that. I don't think it's good the way some Palestinian Christians have been treated. I don't think it's good, especially the way Messianic Christians have been treated. I don't think it's good that they'll allow the right of return unless you embrace Jesus as Messiah. I don't think that's good. I don't think some of the historic racism against black folks in their midst that's been a problem, which a lot of countries have, doesn't make it okay. I'm not for any of that. So Israel's not perfect. Israel's a secular state. Israel is not a godly government. But that doesn't mean just like Polish people should have a place to live, it doesn't mean Jews shouldn't have a place to live. So not agreeing with everything Israel does is different. So
you're talking about their bloodline then?
No, because, here's the thing. Defining a Jew has always been a tricky issue because it's a religion. It's a religion that's directly tied in with an ethnic thing. And a lot of secular Jews view it really as a cultural thing. So I don't define it strictly as a bloodline. However, when we start talking about ethnic Jews, there's a sense of, we understand there's in a sense evidence that they go back to the Levant, meaning there's a genetic element there. Just like with Arab people, there's genetic elements. And by the way, when we talk about J haplogroup, a lot of Arabs have the same thing. They're very, very closely related people groups in their general ethnic makeup as a general rule. And I don't understand why you can't really answer directly. Let me ask you this way. Do you love Jews, Natalie?
Do I love Jews?
Yeah, do you love Jews?
I want everyone to be saved, whether they're a Satanist.
Why can't you just say yes or no, Natalie? Natalie, check this out. Do you love Arabs?
Yes.
Now, I love Arabs too. Why?
No, I love look.
Notice this though. You can say yes, I love Arabs, Natalie, but you couldn't say yes, I love Jews. Why?
Wait. Let me answer this question, okay?
Okay.
I love people in the sense that I want them saved. So I want everyone saved. Everyone. Even Hillary Clinton. Okay.
So Natalie, what if the only church around was a Jewish church filled with Jewish Christians? Would you go to that church?
Would I go to a Jewish church?
Yeah, everyone is ethnically Jewish, but they're all Christians, and that's the only church in your area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But if they have some sort of, if they're trying to convert me to Judaism,
no,
I'm not, you know what I mean?
They're not Judaizers. They're people who ethnically their background is Jewish, but they love Jesus Christ. They recognize him as Messiah. Would you go to that church?
Ethnically, you can't say who's Jewish though. That's
okay.
They all look different.
Can you say, can
You
you,
know what
but hold on, Natalie, it's funny. You just said ethnically you can't see who's Jewish, and yet you've been here all night telling me the Jews want to control the world, and the Jews want to have the 7 Noahide laws, and the Jews hate us, and you've been telling me all this stuff Jews do. Now, the second I say something positive about Jews, well, we don't know who's a Jew. We don't know who's a Jew. But when it's something bad, then we know who they are.
It can't be defined, though.
Okay, then can Arab be defined?
Yeah.
Can Italian be defined? Can
Are you talking about bloodline?
Can Italian be defined? No. Whenever you define a people group, it's usually several factors put together. That's why we say ethnic group.
You're talking about ethnicity.
Okay. Is there an Arab ethnic group?
Yes.
Is there an Italian ethnic group?
Yes.
Viva Italia. But there's no Jewish ethnic group. You don't see the problem here? You're saying there's no such thing as Jews, and yet Jews are responsible for all this evil. We've got a serious problem.
Are we talking about the ethnic group or the religion?
I literally said, is there a Jewish ethnic group, Natalie? And you said no. I actually asked you, is there a Jewish ethnic group? And you said no. So we know what we're talking about. Is there a Jewish ethnic group?
I think that the people that I believe Israel was scattered everywhere.
Okay, just like the Assyrians. Again.
So I don't believe that there's like full-blooded Jew.
Is there Natalie? Is there a full-blooded anything? Almost every Black American, every Black American friend of mine who's ever done a 23andMe, none of them are full-blooded. Most people assume I'm gonna.
Everyone's scattered everywhere.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, why are you saying it just to Jews? It's an irrelevant thing just to say to Jews. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you're applying that. You're right. No one is full-blooded anything. I've said this a number of times, but we understand what we mean when we say Black Americans, when we say Europe, when we say English, when we say Scottish, Irish. We have this general configuration, usually based upon a number of things, such as general phenotype, lineage, culture, borders, language, things like that. Right? Okay, Same thing with Jews. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so my issue is with people that say that they're Jews and people that, like dispensationalists who say that they love, oh yeah, they're chosen or whatever, blah, 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 blood.
Okay, call a different show. Natalie, you seem like a nice gal, but I'm getting a little impatient. Call a different show and complain about that, because that's not me. I'm not a dispensationalist, so why are you bothering me about it? Seriously. I mean it in a friendly way, but Natalie, I'm not a dispensationalist. Why are you complaining about it to me?
You said that you can't be Christian and be anti-Semitic.
That's not a dispensationalist position. That's just a humanitarian position that says, just like I love the Arab people, I love the Jewish people. That's all I'm saying. How can a person who loves God say, I hate this people group? That's really all I'm saying, Natalie. Isn't that evident? Especially people that the Bible says have a historical pedigree that we should recognize. And that's why we as Gentile believers should not boast against the natural branches. Now, if they are not saved, they're not saved, and they're headed for doom and destruction. They're cut off from the main vine, Jesus. That is between them and God, and that's a serious issue, and that's why we should believe in evangelism to all people groups, including those who would identify as Jewish, whatever that means. But I don't understand why we would say, recognize that God has done something, but we also recognize the church is the fulfillment of all the promises to Abraham. So that's why I don't hold, if you don't hold Jesus as Messiah, in no way are you chosen. In no way are you God's people. I'm not a dispensationalist, so I just don't know what you're arguing against, because that's not my position. My position is radically different than that. And a lot of dispensationalists, Natalie, have a big problem with me because I don't recognize Israel as this chosen distinct nation. I do recognize it as something that has a right to exist in the world, in the Middle East, and that as a sort of outpost for democracy in a very messed up Middle East. But that's not a theological argument. That's a politically prudential argument. You see what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I understand. I just, I'm just saying, if people can't say that Jews are chosen anymore because Jesus already came here. He came here 2,000 years ago. So you can't really say Jews are chosen for anything because Jesus already fulfilled it. Bloodline, right? He had Rahab.
Natalie,
ancestor.
I'm gonna ask. Hey, can someone in the live chat grab my debate with Elder Yara and drop that link in here? Natalie, you should probably listen to my debate, because I say what you're saying. I just don't have the anti-Semitic aspect in my arguments. But I appreciate meeting you. Maybe next time you can show your face. You can call in anytime. Thank you very much. We can continue to work through this together and learn together. I hope, Natalie, and I hope you have a beautiful night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, wow.